Hey guys, what's up? This is Matt Lane, and in today's boss video we're going to be taking a look at the Blood-Starved Beast. This is a boss that can be extremely frustrating, but it's also a boss that once you figure out his secret, he is essentially a cakewalk. Before I cover this big secret that'll make this boss easy for you, let's first cover a few topics that you should prepare yourself for prior to beginning the actual boss fight. Let's start with weapons. In terms of leveling, it is recommended that you go in with at least a +2 weapon for this boss battle. And if you find yourself having a lot of trouble, just go ahead and amp it up to a +3 and it should help you out. In terms of weapon choice, it really doesn't matter for this boss when you learn his secret. However, it should be noted that saw weapons will deal the most damage. Not because they're stronger, but because this boss is a beast, and saw weapons deal extra damage when dealing with beasts. Not to mention, this boss is also weak to fire. If you have talked to the NPC Alfred, he will give you fire paper. This is the first item in the game that allows you to attach fire to your weapon. If you stack this with a saw weapon, you will be dealing a ton of damage to this boss. Not only that, there is a third item you could stack to this chain of damage. This item is called the Beast Blood Pellet. This is an item that intensifies your damage as you continue to hit an enemy. However, you will also take more damage in return. If you do decide to use this item, you just need to know that you do not need to take as many hits. This is one of the few bosses I actually suggest to use a Beast Blood Pellet with. I'm normally against this item because bosses tend to hit extremely hard, and since this item causes you to take more damage, that tends to be a bad idea. But when I get to this boss's secret, you will learn why I am okay with using the item for this boss. Last but not least, in terms of preparations, make sure you have plenty of antidotes going into this fight. This is the biggest frustrating element about this boss, and that element is none other than poison. Every time you take a hit from this boss, your poison meter will rise, and if he does a heavy hit, it may even fill that meter in one hit. So again, make sure you have plenty of antidotes going into this fight. If you would like, you can use the Oil Urn and Molotov combo with this boss. I don't really suggest it as much, as personally I deem it a waste of those items, given how easy this boss can actually be once you learn the secret. That's enough for preparation. Let's get to the nitty-gritty of how to handle this boss. The Blood-Starved Beast can be summed up with one word: left. That's right, I said it. Left. It is crazy to think that a boss that gives so many players a hard time can be easily dominated by just staying in one direction. And at first, this even sounds too good to be true. But I'm here to tell you it's 100% fact. I was skeptical when I first heard about this trick, but when I went in and applied it to the fight, I just dominated it. With a combination of the beast not being able to hit me, having a weapon that deals extra damage since he's a beast, applying fire to that weapon to give even more damage, and using a Beast Blood Pellet to give even more damage, this boss just had no shot. It was almost a completely unfair fight. However, I was more than okay with it given how much of a hard time he gave me before I realized this secret trick. And that's really all you need to know with this boss. Make sure to come in with a strong weapon and some fire and just stay to the left, and you will have no problems taking down the Blood-Starved Beast. That is it for today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe for anything about anything. I will be more than happy to answer any questions you have of any kind. And make sure to stay tuned for our next video, which will be The Witches of Hemwick. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see y'all next time.